Hey, good morning, everybody. Wow, look, we got about a half a crowd here today.
Good morning, Mr. Sweatshirts.
Hear that music? All right, now listen. This month we're talking about honor. All right, can everybody hear me? All right, this month we're talking about honor. And I think I've pretty much figured out what honor is all about. Now you may be wondering why I have this pretty cool hoodie on, right? Ken Moore, black, perfect fit. Look, does it make me look thinner? But yeah, now listen. Let me tell you, my hoodie has everything to do with honor, okay? Listen, let me explain this to you. So honor, front row, I want you to catch this, all right? So honor, if someone honors you, that means you get recognized for something, right? Is anybody in here an honor student? Whoa! That's all? You kids, all right, there's a few, all right. A little slow. An honor student, you know what you're doing. All right, or maybe you guys have an older brother or sister who graduated with honors. Does anybody have an older brother or sister? All right, and what's the fancy name they say for that? Magna Cum Laude, Sumo Laude, something, Cappuccino Laude. It's one of those. Well, anyway, speaking of honor students, if you're on the honor roll, you probably know that there's a silent H in honor, right? All right, you guys know how to spell honor? Does anybody know how to spell honor? Well, we're not going to spell it. All right, listen. I think it's because it's Canadian or something. No, wait, in Canada, I think they spell it with a U. They probably say it honneur, French, honneur. All right, I think that's how they do it. But I think it's about right. That's how they talk. That's my Canadian accent, in case you're wondering. But seriously, yeah, I'm part Canadian. But seriously, honor has a silent H, which reminds me that you're supposed to be silent. Here's a big one right here. It has a silent H on it, and you're supposed to be silent in a courtroom and when there's somebody up here, letting you guys know about the lesson. And if you're not silent in the courtroom, the judge is going to get crazy with that cool hammer. You guys ever seen that hammer he has? I like to have one of those. If I had one of those, I could bang it on the table. All right. And does anyone know what you call the judge if you're in a courtroom? Anybody? Your Honor. That's right. All right. Yeah. No, it's not Judge Judy. All right. Listen. I told you I had all this figured out, right? Now, what does a judge wear? A cape, a robe, a cool robe, kind of like a cool black hoodie, if you know what I'm saying here. All right. Anyhow, that robe, I think that black robe is pretty cool. It makes him look, gives him power, really. All right, before I came out here today, I heard Mike backstage say something about knighthood. And it got me thinking. I thought if I wore my own knighthood, all right? Get it? Knighthood? Black? It's black, so it's perfect for sneaking around at night,
Hey, Ron. I mean, I do apologize. I hate to interrupt, when you're talking to the kids, but I think you misunderstood me back there.
No.
I was talking about knighthood. Like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, suits of armor, trumpets, battles, stuff like that. It's for the Bible story today.
Oh, I gotcha. So you're telling me honor has something to do with knighthood?
Kind of. I think you were on something with that first definition of yours, but the one about being recognized for something. Why don't you sit with the kids and listen, and then you'll see what I mean.
All right, cool. Well, bring it on. I hope there's some gnarly battles and some chase scenes in this one.
Well, dude, you're in luck. That's all I've got to say.
All right, cool.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is true. You guys, this story is action-packed. And the crazy part is that it's all completely true. Now, this story is about a guy you may have heard of named David. Now, if anyone was a knight for the king, it was this guy. But you might not have pegged him as a knight. The thing about David is that he knew what honor was actually all about. And I think Ron was a little hard to follow with his little explanation about honor, so I'll try to clear things up with another 5-letter word. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. I want you guys to try to imagine something for me, okay? Picture two gigantic armies about to go head to head in what I can only call a battle royal. Now, this wasn't just a little skirmish. Something was about to go down. These armies were huge. This was an all-out war. Now, these two armies were the Israelites, which were God's people, and the Philistines. Now, each army was on a hill staring at each other across the valley of Elah. Now, you could say the valley looked a little bit like this. You guys see what that is? That's a letter V. That's Old English letters. That's a letter V. You get it? Valley, the letter V. Are you with me? Remember, we're going to spell out a word this morning. Now, you need to understand something about the Philistines. These guys were fierce. I mean, ruthless. Now, the Bible tells us they had as many soldiers as the sand on the seashore. Think about that for a second. Do you think you could, if I gave you a handful of sand, do you think you could really count all the granules of sand in there? Probably not. Maybe with a microscope. So that's how big this army was. Now, this was the Philistine war machine. They were experts working with metals, so their weapons and armor were the best of the best. Now, they were huge guys, and get this, each of them wore a feathered headdress, so they looked even taller. They had chariots, spears, javelins, archers, you name it. And that wasn't all. The Philistines had a weapon that would strike terror in your heart. Goliath. Goliath was basically the most intimidating guy you could ever imagine. He was over 9 feet tall. Okay, so if you followed at the NBA, Shaquille O'Neal is a little over 7 feet. Goliath was 2 feet taller than him. That's huge. He was covered in heavy bronze armor with a shield bearer leading the way in front of him. Now, he must have looked like a freight train coming at you at that size. Well, for 40 days, Goliath walked out in front of the Israelite army. Every morning and evening, he stood and completely dissed them right to their faces. He stood in front of their battle lines, he narrowed his eyes, and he roared.
Bring it on, Israelites. You all are going down.
Now imagine being in the front lines of the Israelites' army and facing that. Now what do you think the Israelites had to say? That's exactly right. Let me hear that louder. What would you guys do? You guys would yell, "Ah!" and you would take off running. Now Goliath had a crazy idea too. No armies, he said. Choose one of your guys and bring him out here to fight me. Let's settle this thing mano a mano. You guys remember David? Now, he was about to play a huge part in this story, but everybody pretty much overlooked him. David wasn't on anybody's radar. He was a shepherd and the youngest of 8 sons. His 3 oldest brothers, the honorable ones, were the warriors. Now, David was a teenager at the time, too. Probably not much older than you guys. Now, David's dad told him to take some food to his brothers down to the battlefield. But while David was there, he saw Goliath and heard what he had said. And he saw the Israelite army run away from Goliath in utter fear. Now, David knew he had to do something. He said, "What will the king do for the guy who defeats the Philistines? This is a disgrace.